approximately. I'll make sure. 103 it is, sorry. On Tuesday the 28th of June 2022. Righto. Present. We have not all of us here, so we'll call for apologies. And I have an apology from Lara Gresham and our chair, I'd imagine. Yes, not you. Yes, you would have that. Yes. Anybody else?
Yeah, and I've been presumptuously filled them in advance.
That's great. That's great. That's good. I like it. Someone would like to move that those apologies be accepted?
I'll move them second.
Thank you very much. Any declarations of interest? No, there is none. Well, we move on to item 4, which is confirmation of the minutes of the special meeting of council held on the 29th of March 2022.
Okay, just a little bit of explanation. Because we did have the business paper and the minutes all in one document. So what I actually did, which was in line to what the chairman was after, was I split those into the special meeting has its own set of minutes, the ordinary meeting has its own set of minutes, and the extraordinary meeting has its own set of minutes. So there's 3 sets of minutes. And the other thing for sort of simplicity with all of the minutes broken up was I didn't adopt them at the last meeting. So that's why you see they're all in a row to be adopted. So there's the special meeting, the ordinary meeting, the extraordinary meeting.
We'll do them in order.
Yes.
Would someone like to move that the minutes of the special meeting of council held on the 29th of March 2022 be true and accurate record?
Yes.
Okay. Move on to 5. Business arising from the minutes of the special meeting.
Which was your appointment as councillors and the swearing in the oath and the setting of the...
Yeah, I don't think there's anything else.
There's nothing very contentious in that.
No.
Everybody happy with that? Okay, move on to 6, which is confirmation of the minutes of the ordinary meeting.
Yes.
Which was held on the same day, 29th of March.
Yes.
Now, I have a copy here. And I'll give you just a second to skip through.
Thank you.
Our chair has been very good to split these up. Appreciate it. Makes it nice and simple to follow for a bloke like me.
Well, and also it became a bit confusing. So I thought, well, the easiest thing is let's just split it all up. Then there's no ambiguity. And
is everybody happy with this 1422 issue of debit cards to new field staff? That should refer to the NEWA Audit ARIC Committee. So that hasn't.
No, that's the business arising one.
Yeah.
As is 1322.
Before we move on to that.
All right, so I'm happy to move the minutes. Minutes.
Councillor O'Connor has moved the minutes.
I'll second.
Councillor Packer has seconded. All in favour of that? Thank you. Unanimous.
yes, yeah.
Okay, now we're going to get on the business arising, I'm sure.
Yeah. All right, you take it away, Paul. Oh, sorry, through the chair.
Yeah, no, you're fine. Yes.
Business arising item 1322 in the first instance. The report be prepared setting out the rationale for a change in the inspection program with the division of each LGA into 5 inspection zones set out. I believe there were 4 inspection zones prior.
3 prior.
3?
Yeah.
And there's a rationale set, and I think we also discussed then time frames.
Yes, and in that sort of response I gave to all the various questions that were raised, there's a bit of background to how that came about.
Any more discussion on that?
I think that the discussion was then, if we were doing the whole lot and it was 3 zones, we had a bit of time to do the same total area, but
Yeah.
5 zones.
Okay, there's a couple of things. One is that although we've divided it into 3, we didn't actually cover it all. So what was happening, and we have a good chart that we can provide. When we did quite a thorough check over the last 10 years, we found out large sections of the countryside that hadn't been inspected over a 10-year period. So and this goes back 2.5 years, long before my time. So that was one of them, was that the 3-year period wasn't being inspected every 3 years. The other one, though, is that we don't need to inspect a property every 3rd year. In fact, a lot of our, fellow weeds authorities, they work on 5, and some of them are actually 10-year cycles. So we had a discussion with local land services, and they said, look, we're quite relaxed so long as you meet your targets of how many properties we want you to inspect each year, and so long as in the 5-year inspections you don't inspect the same properties over and over again, which is what it's open to, because they simply say you have to inspect 1,500 properties a year. Well, we could just keep going around and around. So they said, look, we don't have any mandate as to how you carry out your inspections. Do it as to how it best suits you, and as long as you meet your targets, we're happy. The other thing is, we don't only do a sort of an inspection and move on. We do, as most of you probably know, we do re-inspections as well. So if we go onto a property and they've got tropical soda apple or something, we say you've got to clean that up, we go back and inspect it again. So if we've moved on to the next division the following year, we're still going back to other areas. So,
but does that mean 1 division or 1 zone per year? Outside of the private works, your inspections are limited to 1 zone?
1 zone, unless we complete a zone earlier, so to speak.
So it's 5 inspection zones, 1 zone per annum, ideally.
Nominally, rather than ideally, yes, yeah. And doing that, we actually more than double the number of inspections that local land services are looking for. So we already, with the 5, we already hit the target by a factor of 2.
How does that work? Because they only want 1 in 10?
Well, no, they nominate how many inspections have to be done,
Right.
and by doing them on the 5-year cycle, we actually do twice the number that they're asking for.
Oh, okay.
Thank you very much for that. You also need some flexibility within the zones, because you'll have different things brought to your attention,
Yes,
and they will have to be inspected
yes,
outside that line. And obviously there will be a problem, otherwise it wouldn't have been brought to the attention.
So,
yes.
so if you've got a landholder who's subject to a complaint,
Mm-hmm.
does that then bump that inspection?
That's in addition to.
Is going to bump
So
up your program of it?
Yes.
If it happens.
The greatest driver of the 5 is to make sure that we cover, for example, Uralla, all of it. And if you look historically at Uralla, you'll see that there's about 1/3 of the Shire that historically has been somewhat missed. Yeah.
Right.
So that's the thing. We know that by covering those areas, we'll cover the whole Shire, rather than sort of saying, oh, look, we'll have a go at, doing 1/3 of the Shire, fall short, and then it just falls into no man's land.
Okay. Thank you very much. Is there any other business arising from those minutes?
This one's, what's happened with this debit credit card thing?
Oh, yeah,
We had
that's
a bit of a carrying about it at the last meeting, didn't
Hand over to the GM there.
I mean, from my point of view, we just need to provide a means of enabling staff to buy. For example, we had a car that needed 2 tyres this morning, and otherwise they're off the road. I'm getting a few mixed signals. I know, Paul, you're very keen on credit cards. Credit card, debit card, pardon me. But when I got to the bank, they had a very strong opinion. From what I understand, the difference is if we, pardon me, if we apply for a debit card, it's simply a case of the staff member going down and identifying themselves if they're not already with the Commonwealth Bank. If we apply for a credit card, though, we can't do it at our local bank anymore. It actually becomes a part of Commonwealth Bank's finance facility. So we actually have to apply for a finance facility, which is not onerous, it just takes time.
But I'll tell you what, I know in my bank, which is the ANZ, if you have any questions about your credit card, they just get this really glazed dumb look and refuse to answer them. I'm not kidding, it is so frustrating. And they look, and then you've got, sit around on the phone ringing the credit card department of your bank
because
for any queries.
They can't do it here, whereas the debit cards they can. So he said that's the thing. You'll have to pass resolutions. You'll have to give a number of years' financial statements and things like that, and you'll have to pass the resolution each time you want to add someone or delete someone, etc.
And that's not necessarily true. So
no. So what?
Because there's under delegation, delegation to assign sub-delegation to others. And the business arising here, though, more importantly, is that there is no ARIC. So the thing that was on the table was to refer the policy to the ARIC for review. So what we need right now is to understand how that policy will be developed, reviewed, and who by. Yes. And whether that be third party, best practice, I don't care who it is. And secondly, which becomes the other issue there, is that we have no ARIC. So those are the two things arising. Well, business arising is the policy.
I don't care about the cards, although I'm not hostile to a debit card, I like them personally, but I agree with Councillor Packer, we just need the ARIC.
We're pursuing Armidale Regional Council because they have an established ARIC, which you would know, and it seems to be functioning fairly well. So,
are you referring the policy or asking the GM?
Well, first of all, asking James, is he okay if we piggyback on their ARIC, subject to any costs we would pay, and if he says yay, then we'll refer the policy across to him. The other thing the bank manager offered to do, he said he'd be more than happy to come and talk to us. So that offer's out there. And as I said, from my point of view, I don't mind either way. We just want to do the right thing. It might be a good question for Roberts and Morrow as well to ask them, because they were the ones who in the first instance said you need to get your people some cards. I won't nominate a card, but...
Well, they said debit, didn't they?
Yes, they advocated debit only because of the administrative ease.
So do we want to go further with this and send it through council and see if we can, as you say, get on the tail end of ARIC over there and
it's a really good.
Everybody. Well, I've already got an action item to do that. Yes, I've already undertaken to get in touch with James. I don't see any issue there.
The Rising Action Plan is in train.
Very good. Thank you very much for that. That's solved. Dear, what are we on to? Item 8, is it? Confirmation minutes of the ordinary meeting, didn't we just do that?
No.
No, this is business arising.
Business arising, we just did 7.
Yeah,
Right, a confirmation of the minutes of the extraordinary meeting. Oh,
Yeah.
this is as confusing as you like.
okay, no, that's that one. That's the one that
I'll find it.
that looks funny.
Look at this one. No,
Yeah.
there.
That one,
That's it.
on the bottom.
Oh, that's fine.
Well, first of all, we've got to move that it's a true and accurate record before we go on to 9. So, would someone like to move that those minutes of the extraordinary?
I don't actually agree with this.
Well, that's fine. That is fine.
I don't agree with the words.
In what respect? Is it's not a true and accurate record, or?
Yeah, that the
Well,
board
that's
of NEWA direct the chair to appoint a complaints coordinator pursuant.
You remember there was an amendment and I was asked to take the amendment out and just
Yeah,
Put-
we read NEWA.
just put what it ended up as being. And there was the resolution actually talked about 0.5 only. And then I was asked to put the other 4 points into the resolution as well. Now, I wasn't there, so
Yeah.
you tell me.
We can talk about that on business arising
That
committee.
the board of NEWA authorise and direct the chair, I think this is what I drafted, this is paragraph 4 of NEWA to write to the general managers of all member councils requesting that NEWA have access for the purposes of compliance to the selected member council's panel of conduct.
Review.
Yeah.
Do you want to elaborate that on
Look,
Councillor O'Connor? Because
yeah,
a lot of
do.
this will come up in business arising.
Well,
Yeah,
I
I'm just
thought,
saying.
I thought that what we asked the chair to do was to, and it was changed at the last minute. First, it was just going to be under regional council, everybody seemed to agree to that. And then at the last minute, we changed it to, we directed the chair, which is Councillor Commode, to approach each of the member councils to see if they were willing to offer their complaints coordinator to assist us. Now, I believe that did not happen, and that will be a matter for matters arising. There's no clarity to me, but someone can correct me if I haven't read every email on this subject, but in fact, all that happened was that the chair just gave information to Walker. That's my concern, that in fact the paragraph 1 should read that the board of NEWA direct the chair to approach each member council to see if they wished to provide the services of, or if they could provide the services of the complaints coordinator. Now, I believe that's what that should be.
That's sort of what 4 says, isn't it?
Well, 4 says it in relation to access to their panel of conduct reviewers, and 1 and 4 were like a pair.
Yeah.
Okay, so but 1 does not match 4, in that it just says we told the chair to appoint a complaints coordinator from one of the member councils of NEWA. That's not what our resolution was, that each of the councils be approached and often asked if they would like or in a position to provide a complaints, the services of their complaints coordinator.
Would someone else also like to talk on that? Do we need to go around the room on this one, or do you want to pass it and then talk about it?
I'm happy to pass to say that the correct record. I mean, I don't think it was optimal. What the outcomes are optimal, but I think the record is as it is.
I agree with you, by the way, because a lot of this is going to come up in 5 minutes or less.
So
Business or not?
your recollection, Councillor Barry, and your recollection, Councillor Hacker, is different to mine.
Yeah, that's fine.
No, that's all right.
No, it's not. That's not really. It's not really. It's
The intention, what we wanted to achieve out of it. The record here is accurate. The intention didn't match the outcome, which is business arising.
which is similar to what you're saying. Similar. Okay. So, Councillor Packham,
I'll move that.
Moved.
It's an accurate record.
that is an accurate record.
Of the minutes.
Have we got a seconder?
I think it was probably accurate,
Yes,
because we wrote it all down.
that's council's decision. We have a seconder. Thank you very much.
That's fine.
Uh,
I'll just.
Councillor O'Connor, it'll come up very shortly.
Yeah, well,
Okay,
that's all right.
Okay.
What I mean,
so
well,
all in favour? Those against?
yeah,
That's right, Margaret. Margaret, watch yourself. Councillor O'Connor.
whatever,
Against.
call me Margaret, don't mind.
No, I want to
Yeah.
do the proper
but
process
it's
is
have to be cancelled.
going to be stuck here, right? The proper
Oh, yeah.
process. I like it. Okay. Now we have business arising, don't we? Of what you were talking about. Now, there's a few things to talk about here, I think you'll find. And it was mentioned there a while ago that
Yeah, it's 0.5.
yeah, point five, on the wrong page, as per normal.
So this is called a special,
I'll just read this out actually. So it's on record. The chair, write to Mr. Damien O'Connor, retracting the appointment, complaints coordinator due to the fact that he is ineligible as per the procedures, which was passed at that meeting, for the administration of the model code of conduct for local councils in New South Wales. Which way do we want to go here?
Oh, that's part of them.
Well, it's the business arising one now, so,
Yeah. Where,
Mr. GM needs to let us know if he knows that that was done or not.
Just follow.
Mr. GM, I'm not part of it. Because of it's a code of conduct against me, I've had no contact.
It's not
but
about- okay.
the resolution was directed at an action required for the chair to do.
yeah,
So,
Someone else.
And the GM's correcting what he's saying, okay?
And you're saying he's not aware.
He's not privy to
That's
this,
fine, that's good.
okay?
No, nor have I had any contact since the 4th of April, which is,
contact with her.
anyone.
But you are aware that Mr. Damien O'Connor has subsequently submitted a bill for his services up to the date of time, so you are
You
aware
can
of
talk
that.
on that.
yes, he's actually done more than submit a bill. He's actually
Small claims court.
served us with a full small claims court out of Tamworth statement of claim,
You could add,
which, yeah, I mean, I'm a bit, I use the term piggy in the middle, both literally and figuratively, but I just need to know which way to go. If we're not going to pay it, then I obviously need to go down and appear in Tamworth, and I haven't got much of a leg to stand on because it's an internal discussion.
Council, we need a direction on this.
Mr. Chair, essentially these have to be held in abeyance for Councillor Commode to answer his action. Because that's the business arising. The business arising was to confirm that he approached all member councils, that then he selected a member council, and that the panel comes from the same council that he selected.
Taking that on board, councillor Packham, can you give us a date when this is due to be paid? And is it after the next meeting? Please.
It's 28 days from the 22nd of June. So 22nd of June, 8 days, so it's 20 days, 3 weeks into July. But I prefer not to leave it till the third week.
Okay.
We can play all the games, as you would know, Margaret. Have asked for a extension because the chairman's been up in Northern Territory and not available to us and all that
have
sort
you
of
done
stuff.
that? Have you done that?
No, I only got this,
Cool.
I only got that a couple of hours ago.
Oh, right, and you've had a letter of demand preceding that
No, I had a threat from Mr. O'Connor to say,
on the phone?
Mr. Connor, sorry. Terrible.
Not that big.
From Mr. Connor to say, if you don't pay this,
This is what I'll do.
I'm going to, go to small claims court. To which, and I think I sent you
It's
all a
in the wrong
copy of mine.
jurisdiction anyway. But anyway, that's not
Yeah,
right.
I just sent an email that I sent to him, and I said it's a matter between you and the chairman who engaged you. I will do whatever I'm instructed, but I'd like to have an instruction from the council to either do or not do.
Any more comments?
Well, I
Well,
think
this is-
in the end, we're going to have to pay.
You're going to have to pay it, but the chair needs to come back and say, well, the person was engaged, therefore we're all liable no matter what.
Well, we understand it was a Walker, the complaints coordinator and the Walker.
No, we're looking at two different things, I think, Dorothy, sorry.
Yeah, well, I'm just answering councillor Patton's
I
question.
think councillor Commode, making myself laugh, was engaged Damien Connor
Yeah, he engaged him
to
first.
do it.
Yeah.
And he has now sued us for non-payment of services.
Yeah, but that was before our meeting, that was before this resolution.
Sure.
Correct.
So someone has to come back to us and say, on its merits, we still need to pay him, and therefore, and then.
Well, not necessarily, because the thing
Well,
is,
is
what services did Mr. Connor provide
Well,
to
that's
the
one,
Works
so
Council?
Scott, councillor Commode needs to come back to this committee
Yeah, I
with
know. So I don't know whether
a representation of the services that were provided, and then we're going to say, somewhere along the line, someone allowed under their delegation and engage this person, and now we're liable whether we like it or not.
Well,
Or are there grounds to fight it?
Well, the way I see it, councillor Commode did that off his own bat. He wrote to us and told us he'd done it and gave us a certain 48 hours or something to respond to it. I don't know, I didn't respond because I was impressed by him taking that action. And we've never had a report. We've never seen the amount of work. I've never seen an invoice. How can we make a decision without an invoice that actually matches up this claim of $3,000?
We do have an invoice that matches the 3,600.
What's the
But it's
other
an
one?
invoice, so it's not a report or a
So the invoice
There's
is
no
for what?
report, there's no workshop, there's no
for
product.
services rendered.
But only the business arising is to request councillor Commode to provide this committee with said,
Yeah, no, I support you,
said,
councillor.
supports for the services that were rendered up until the point of the disengagement.
Yeah.
From the game disengagement stage.
So,
Our business arising is to request councillor Commode.
And I sent you by accident a copy of the invoice. You may remember that. You may be thinking, what on earth did he send me this for? Now it's all come clear.
Make representation on the summons
Because I
for the committee.
suspect a large part of the work, the product, if you like, that is being claimed towards oral advice.
Under our directors and officers, and even if it was a wrongful appointment, the Weeds Authority is going to become liable for it because the chair put us in that position.
That's right.
So, I don't have the appetite to say, councillor Commode, that's your problem, that's your bill, you pay it.
No.
I don't have that appetite.
Not for $3,600.
And the reputation.
I wouldn't be happy with that.
The reputational risk that we have as a committee and as an organisation.
Well, I mean, the other
Doesn't
thing
want
is
to
we just cop up and move on.
I just don't want to have any penalties through the court process.
absolutely,
Yeah, I agree.
absolutely.
We don't want.
So we agree on that, so it seems like the.
I haven't agreed to it.
No, I know that, but I'm just saying the consensus is, and it's a good argument, being put up over here. And I was out, I didn't know what to do here, I really didn't know what to do, but it's been explained to me what to do. So I'm going to go with that.
I still think councillor Commode needs to write representation to us saying services were rendered and we should pay the bill.
I can,
Why don't we can form a resolution to that effect? When's councillor Commode coming back from,
Oh, it's got 2 weeks.
to the
Wait for
anyway?
2 weeks.
Was
I've only been away since Thursday. In trouble Thursday, Friday. That's what he's told us.
24th, 23rd.
he's out of,
So,
And he won't be in reach. for
No, he's not.
2 weeks at least.
he's not in reach, so
well, then not-
Well, can we delegate to the deputy chair or the acting chair to do this on our behalf?
I sure can.
To authorise the GM to pay the bill, we don't.
well, I think we need a
Well,
resolution. No,
Contact
to councillor Commode and, sorry,
Yeah,
No,
no,
Dorothy's telling us to.
yeah, no, I was going to say to request to councillor Commode that he assures us that services were rendered and that the bill is payable. And then we delegate councillor back to do it,
to pay the bill,
to pay the bill.
to direct the general manager to pay the
Yeah,
bill.
reject the general manager.
Yeah, well, I want to see more than that. I want
We
to,
should wait for 2 weeks.
you,
Put him on, he's surely going to have access to email some,
Yeah.
I know he said he's out of, still 2
2
weeks.
weeks, is it?
Provides us with
We've
enough
got 3
time.
weeks, haven't we?
Because we've got 3 weeks left.
well, I'm not sure what you're saying.
I'm trying to say we should ask councillor Commode to make his representation that the services were rendered and that the bill should be duly paid.
Yeah.
And then, and thereafter instruct the GM to.
Yeah, right, yeah. Well, I, as a member of this board, I would like to slightly change that request to councillor Kamai that he produce evidence of the work that was.
Yeah, same thing.
Yeah. No, actually, the words that you've used in the resolution to date, I think that he gives an undertaking that work was done and the bills paid, the bills fair and,
I think you're right, Margaret. I'm just.
all right,
Evidence.
just change evidence of the work that Mr. Connor undertook.
Yeah. I think council undertakes to provide us with evidence. That's where I was going. I misundertook it.
Was it to do?
Because I don't want to direct.
An undertaking plus evidence from councillor Commode in relation to the work provided, the services provided by Mr. Connor. See, we're supposed to get a report. And I'm not sitting here for an hour or more being told what Damien Connor had said.
To this council.
But with no evidence.
Yeah, no,
And I'm really,
So
I'm
in the
not
interim,
satisfied with that.
excuse me, in this interim, do we pay this? Or do we wait 2 weeks?
Oh,
That was going to be my question if we end up.
No, because if there's no evidence, we pay something we didn't get at all. We should at least go through the process.
Yeah, because that would.
Because it was engaged by one person.
Yeah.
Services potentially delivered by a person who's due recompense for that. And
and then could I add a separate, or suggest a separate resolution that we request the General Manager to advise Mr. Connor that subject to Councillor Commode providing evidence of the work done, we have resolved, which I think we will in the preceding resolution, to pay.
Which means that's a phone call.
Yeah. Well, I would prefer it.
Yeah, well, it will be in writing, but you know what I mean, we don't have to come to a meeting.
the pending satisfactory evidence being
Yeah,
supplied
subject to satisfactory evidence of the work services being rendered.
What if that fails?
We
Yeah,
go to court about it.
I don't want to do that.
No.
No, well, let's worry about that in the dying hours of the 11th hour.
Right.
What if we?
I know, this is go round and round.
You said the
We
roads
could,
from
but
your
I mean,
other.
we're sitting and resolved to spend $3.5 grand or whatever it is on something that we don't personally know was ever provided.
Well, an auditor would request evidence that.
Absolutely.
Services.
Absolutely.
And we can't
Something's got
resolve to pay the bill until we've seen that,
And,
in my opinion. But does everybody
Yeah,
agree
the
with
goods
that?
received note has not been signed, has that?
okay. Good received, I like that. No, I can use that.
The delivery note hasn't been signed off.
And I must say that I'm impressed that I'm the defendant, not the person who engaged him.
Righto.
You could, if we ever wanted to run this battle, we could argue that it was the incorrect defendant.
Absolutely.
But we're not going to pay a lawyer to argue something.
No, we're not.
$3 grand. I support
Got one here.
defendant. No, you don't. You don't.
Okay, moving on.
We're done with it. There's-
Yes, we are.
Yes, that's,
Item 10.
we're now.
It's item 10.
I don't have that.
Don't you? Okay. Confirmation of minutes of the ordinary meeting of council held on the 21st.
I don't have that document.
So that's our last week, Carwell. Yeah.
Last week.
Yeah, this I just.
This is not being recorded. I better.
Yeah, no, I have that, but I don't have.
It's all right, I don't think there's a.
Oh, it's on, is it attached?
Should be.
Is that what we're talking?
Should be there. Wasn't it?
No, the actual minutes of last week's meeting, I have them on the screen there, but I don't have them to give you a handout.
We have to hold that one in advance or
Um,
hold over that item?
So you could flash it up and we could agree.
Yeah, that's true.
I don't know how to flash it up there, but
Can
I
you-
We'll put it over.
I can,
I know it'll take 5 minutes. Could you read them, please? Is that possible? No, I mean it.
no, I think I can actually print it if you excuse my colour standard format.
We need to see them. Yeah.
So I know I've got the legs to be a secretary, but I don't actually have the skills to get with
So if I made a comment like that, it'd be totally inappropriate in your role. That'd be bombing
No, the legs.
I'm talking about.
I'm always in trouble for things like that.
So it should be just no mention any genitals.
No.
It would be safe.
Well, people seem that I'm being accused of this.
So you talk about legs and now you're talking about genitals.
Yeah.
And it's all on tape. So, we have,
Okay, bear with me.
I'm just saying we have 20 minutes before the accountants turn up.
Right.
So, but we need to do this, councillor O'Connor, like you said, and someone else I'm sure.
Yes.
We need to have a look at these. I'd rather get this over and done with today.
Yes, I agree.
We've got enough going on.
You mean that
you said-
resolution that we talked about?
No, that'll be done.
That's
Yeah.
done.
That'll be done. This is business or, yeah. Confirmation of the,
And
Minutes.
acting chair watched me for about an hour, just progressing through them.
it's going through the Urella Council business paper at the time. Ah, well,
We all volunteered.
yeah, that's correct. You can just not read it if you want to, because I know some councillors do that, and I just don't behave like that. You haven't got a question, there's something wrong in my book.
Oh, sorry, it's probably written.
No, you read it.
That the problems with the draft financial statements are corrected in an email to all councillors for endorsement for public exhibition within the next, or
So the
so,
next 2 weeks, yeah.
is that within the next 2 weeks or
Well, we're very there, but yeah, but that's a bit of a timeline, we'll go on.
within the next? I'd like to change that saying, that adjustments as discussed, that adjustments, what do you call it?
Amendments
To the presentation.
Amendments to the presentation
Well, it's the draft financial statements, really.
of the draft financial statements are corrected and are made, and then until councillors for endorsement for public exhibition within the next 2 weeks.
Sounds like business.
You happy with that?
Yes,
Here we go, do you want that to?
it was just read out, we'll be giving
Yeah.
that to, so,
I can write it down.
that's a motion,
Yeah, I would do.
moved.
Moved, Dorothy, seconded, anybody? Good, chartered accountant.
In a position.
No, I'll second.
I'd like
Get
to
on
try
the
that.
plane.
All in favour?
Aye.
Pass unanimously, right. We'll move on to 12, which is New England Weeds Authority Annual Operating Plan. Which is
That's what we're talking about.
Yep, done. Matters of urgency?
Oh, sorry, can we discuss that?
Yeah, I
Because
thought you wanted to skip
I
it.
already had some more questions.
Well, I
think might
have one question,
a few questions too.
which is just how are you going to measure the satisfaction score? But I emailed it to you, so, and I don't have a copy of the thing at the moment. so-
Oh, the thing you emailed, I can,
No, they're just the. You can send an email if you like it. I'll finish that one.
yeah. Okay. I mean, we measure satisfaction by basically the response we get from landholders.
We hate seeing you.
Sorry?
Yeah, but funnily enough,
I don't.
funnily enough, we don't have a high level of complaints. We have some, there's always a desire to get something for nothing. So there's a lot of landholders to say, can you come and spray this, because they don't want to spray it themselves,
Oh,
etc. But yeah, but basically we're a very customer close contact with our landholders. You know, you can't go on a farm's property unless you've got a relationship. So we get feedback, and we do log complaints, which aren't actually complaints, as you know, Margaret. It's a term that's used when people are flagging something that they're concerned about, it isn't necessarily a complaint. It's highlighting something that they feel needs to be addressed.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Or a hidden agenda.
Yeah, I do say, I do enjoy working with your officers.
Yeah, I do.
So is that a through the chair, is that a satisfactory response to you, Councillor Robinson?
Yeah, I mean, whether you need to put anything more than that, I don't know. Does anybody feel that community feedback from, I'll just say from the people that have been in interactions with the Weeds Authority, there's no.
I mean, you haven't had interaction with the Weeds Authority would like to.
yeah, we are fairly active in terms of, we're currently upgrading our website at the moment.
Yeah.
We have social media pages. We do formally do educational field days, teaching schools, teaching people, going out to rural fire services, things like that. So we are quite active in maintaining a relationship with the community.
Yeah.
I think that's the right angle, actually, rather than asking for rural feedback.
Yeah, no, I just wanted
Yeah,
to
your
know,
track.
just know how it's
I
done.
went through that.
Yeah, but you hit the nail on the head, Ms. Quarterly. So, you know, I think
Well,
be careful what you wish for.
Can I make a suggestion? I don't know if this is the right place to bring it up, but I don't know how to use a drone, and I think a lot of landholders need to be able to use drones to help them do
Yes.
that. And I wonder whether one of your outreach services could be helping landholders learn how to use drones. Yeah.
The LOS do a few of those programs.
Yeah.
And they also have the weed seeker technology.
Well, maybe you could put that on the website or something, so that it's full
I
coverage.
agree. That's how it's in partnership with our recommendation.
Well, just to
Between
look,
weeds
That's a
and
good
others.
point.
because I was just looking at a hill on one of my blocks and
You
thinking,
got fireweed, have you?
no, I don't. But I have got blackberries, which I didn't, weren't there the last time I was up there,
No.
you know, and I was just
Fireweed.
thinking,
Yeah.
I just need so much more support, and a drone could offer. Yeah.
Sure, but the best thing is get the weeds authority come and do it for you.
I actually didn't even know you could get the weeds authority.
Then this is the problem
Otherwise,
with the outreach is that,
private contractors to do
yeah,
it, and they're really hard to get.
well, they're
now.
using private contractors to do their work.
To a degree, yes.
Yeah,
Anyway,
but anyway, I
So
just.
just on that, I mean, we do
getting
lots of
drones-
educationals. We do drone training.
Do.
Yeah, we did some down in Uralla not so long ago, where they were having a drone field day. I think Castle was involved as well. And we provide training, etc.
Oh,
Yeah, so, yeah, we do all of that stuff.
but on that, if I can, because that relates to 2.1.3 on page 19. Develop community landholder education program.
Yeah.
Is it your actions, I mean, you talk about 11 extension events.
Yeah.
10 media articles.
Yeah.
But then, you know, what about fact sheets? And so
Yes.
page 19 and 30.
Yep.
Strategy 2.1.3, develop community and landholder education programs.
Yep. And
Is that, I mean, because what you said is detailed actions. It
yes,
says 11 extension events. That's one a month, pretty much. That's a job to achieve. You'll be on the road and produce or be involved in 10 media articles. But, you know, fact sheets to landholders.
yeah, well, we're introducing a newsletter. Margaret said she didn't want a newsletter once a month. So on her advice, we might be doing it quarterly instead of monthly or something like that. We're actually working.
Quarterly's fine.
Yeah, and we're working with a, one thing I'm very keen on I'm doing, because I'm a bit of a technology devotee, but is trying to get email addresses and phone numbers for all of our landholders. I mean, we are, as you say, Councillor O'Connor, we are in the dark ages. When we come out to inspect your property, we write you a letter and we say, we would like to visit your property, you know, can you nominate a good time? And of course, we never get a reply, so we start phoning and things like that. So what we're trying to do is do that, to up the communication through newsletters, websites, social media, but also to be able to directly contact and write to them and say, look, there's been an outbreak of
such and such next door to you.
Yeah.
I think perhaps then that you, and maybe it's just form and content, is that, because you've actually got that as item 3 as a measure, develop landholder contact database to provide seasonal information and best practice. Well, that's a detailed action, is what you're talking about as an action that's going to meet the measures.
Yes.
So, I mean, part of the fact in the measures is that you also have the ability for neighbours to contact neighbours, someone that, you know, in that way. But I think some of the detailed actions, you've only put that as a measure, but you have put it as an action to do that. So,
yeah,
I'm guessing that this committee would also like to report to the committee, at least quarterly, or through our meeting structure, on what the outreach, how the detailed actions are progressing.
Yeah.
And what you're asking, you're saying you're going to do it, so tell us about it. I guess it's feedback to us. It's required.
Yeah, and
maybe you want to have a look.
Happy to do it, and that's the stuff I like doing. I mean, that's the world I live in, not sorting out dysfunctional accounting systems. And
well, without money,
no, I understand.
The world stops. But I'm on a roll here. Can you go back to page 11, please? 1.2.1.
Yep.
Of Australians as part of administration, the objective 1.2 area.
Yeah.
It says report to council as a measure reviewed by November 21.
Yes.
Well, we're in the year 2022. Is that a typo?
I'd say so.
I hope so.
On 1.2.1, continued over the page, it says review by October 21.
Okay, I actually went through and corrected all of these dates. The same as I actually went through and corrected.
GISC.
Yes, I did, and I corrected ADC, Armidale Numeric Council.
Maybe the save button.
Yeah, Paul, it's a case of, you know, when you've got 50 hours work to do in 20 hours, you can see evidence all through all of this. For example, I don't have minutes finished that I wanted to get finished because
you've got under time pressure, and unfortunately, review editing is a big part of work when we put stuff on the public.
So
don't take that
personally.
He's right. This needs to be addressed.
It's going out to the public. And we just address it and
Totally.
we're here helping you to copy edit to actually get it to the public without scrutiny falling back on us about it.
Do not take it personally.
I don't take it personally, other than I am a bit of a sort of perfectionist, and I like things to be done right, and I like things to be right. And I'm in an environment at the moment which is absolute hell. Absolute hell.
Sorry.
Is there anything else?
Yes. Yes.
Because I've got to leave.
I know, I'll be there shortly.
You've got 20 minutes at the moment.
I was only given a limited amount of time to review these documents, so.
That's fine. That was a good one, that last one.
4.1.3 on page 24.
Yeah.
On one, it says conduct high risk site inspections and monitoring and treat new infestations. Undertake inspection of high risk pathways. I wasn't sure, isn't that where we start putting in some couple of numbers? That's where we haven't got any.
Which one are you?
4.1.3.
4.1.3.
Page 24 of 30.
Yeah.
Top right hand corner.
Yes.
Detailed action.
Okay. Conduct high risk site inspections.
Yeah, we start, putting some numbers around this.
Yeah, well, you know those numbers that we produce in that WAC report?
Okay.
There's a lot of information in there that lists all the high risk sites, and it tells us what our targets are, what we've inspected, how many visits we've made, how many hectares of land we've inspected.
All right, so my next question is, if we go over the page, then
Yeah.
on 26 of 30, where we start talking about conduct 1,728 private properties,
Correct.
and et cetera, inspect 5,800 hectares.
Yes.
How does that compare to last year? Is it the same as last year? Is it, what are we
Well,
going
that's,
forward? Are we going backwards?
yeah, that as you know is set out by LLS. So our WAP funding, which is our biggest source of funding, is provided by LLS, and they set the targets of, we want you to do so many private property inspections, so many hectares of land to be inspected.
So you have that already. So what I'm saying is
Yeah.
that LLS have told you for the next financial year,
Yeah.
we need 1728.
Correct.
And how does that compare to prior? Are they asking you to do more work than you had to do before, or less work than you've had to do before? Or same?
Slightly more.
They're asking you to do more?
Yeah, slightly more, which is one of the reasons over the years we've moved away from the 3-year cycle, because you know the resources aren't going up, the demands are going up.
Okay.
However, and I hesitate to say this, we have achieved a higher level of inspections this year with half the number of people than we did the year before, when the inspections were a bit iffy at the best of times. So we're getting massive efficiencies dropping out of you know of the way we're organising the people.
I've got one last
There's another way
question.
to put that,
Yeah.
Tim, and that may be that you might be removing massive inefficiencies.
Well, yes, we are removing massive inefficiencies.
Yeah, and we kind of know that story.
Yeah,
And
and you know that we have bogus reports going in and all
yeah,
kinds of
we
things.
don't need to worry.
But we're,
I have
you
one
know,
last,
so
one last observation and one last question.
correct.
Over the page on 28 and 34,
Yeah,
itemized private works.
yeah.
This is and then copy of the following rates shall apply for 2022, 21, 23.
Yes. And all I can say is that somewhere on there is the,
No more.
There's the
It's
version that
I said
I-
it was an observation, please,
Yes.
it's an observation. Observation
because I've been through and corrected all of this.
What page are we on?
28 and 34.
Yeah.
Top right hand corner seems to be a favourite.
It's me. No, it's the computer, obviously, so
Yeah.
You got that.
we must bring it to the GM's attention all the time, and I thank you for that. I know we must.
And one more time, and one more question,
Yes.
is the fees are set here, but how were they set? And how do they compare to last year? I think because we have to put stuff on display before we, you know, once
Yep.
they're set for the year, right? Mark
Yes.
says.
Yeah, I know that, but we've got a little bit of an issue here because we're behind.
And so are these the same as last year?
No,
Because we have-
they're not. They're increased on last year
Or what?
because we were essentially quoting jobs for less than it was costing us. We were losing money.
So this is already.
Okay,
just
so
using
what we've done is
How were they set?
we've looked at our competitors, which are the contractors who are out there, the Ben Sullivans and co, many of whom we employ ourselves. So we've got John Hall up in Glen Innes, we've got Ben Sullivan in Uralla, we've got Hoy down in Walker, etc. So we watch what they're doing and what they're charging. Scott Nordstrom is one of our contractors who works for LLS, so he's a good measure because he's getting LLS's work. And so we tailor our rates to represent a market and a competitive situation where we're not losing our shirts, particularly on, you'll notice chemicals and other materials are as quoted, because we used to put figures in, and guess what, they're going up 10%.
only sort of like a warning.
Yeah,
Is that we can't start charging these rates until they've been out on public display and notified. So
yeah,
you cannot from the 1st of July start using these rates.
Yeah.
But I think that's by our legislative
Yeah.
description. So
Yeah.
just be wary of that, I should say.
I thought it'd be operational.
No, we
fees and charges,
we
same with
advertise
rates.
fees and charges, we're stuck with them until we change them by vote of the council.
So if we pass this
And on public
today,
display.
No, but
We're not passing it.
No, I'm just saying.
Yeah, we're only passing it to go on public exhibition, we're not passing it to activate it.
To activate it.
Yeah.
So I'm just saying we can enter this financial year on old rates.
We're going to have to,
Because
and
they're
that's the law,
publicly,
it's not really activated.
Yeah.
Can I move the motion?
No,
I just wanted to move the motion, thanks to the General Manager, because I'm sure now we're aware that an awful lot of work has been required to move the organisation forward, and I think we should vote. Sentiment of appreciation for his hard work.
Second?
Yeah, okay, I'll second it.
Right. So me, you have to write it in.
We vote for it.
Through you, Mr Chair, you've got to call the vote.
Good call.
I'm sorry, you might want to.
No, you're right, you're right. Well, I was thinking about something else.
Trying to be nice.
Which is,
He's getting out of you.
you don't know what I've got to go through. So,
We do.
you've got the
No problem.
night ahead of you that I went through last night.
possibly,
Oh, you met him tonight?
yeah,
Yeah.
All right,
3:30, you start.
so we all agree.
So,
Yeah.
all in favour?
Aye.
Thank you.
Now you close the meeting.
I will close the meeting. I'll just make sure that everything's done though.
Well, we're going to get through everything on the agenda.
So you'll be-
Yes.
Matters of urgency?
Any matters of urgency, spot on.
Well, we covered the,
Yes.
The next meeting's on the 23rd of August.
Operational plan.
That's everything, yeah, the operations plan's gone out. So, thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. I thought it was quite successful. And we've got jobs to do.
So we have a motion of flying minute, right, distribution flying, did we get that, is that a
Do you
motion?
want me to move that?
We have to, because otherwise we're stuck. No,
Would you like to reopen the meeting for a moment, Mr Deputy?
Did I
Chair?
close?
we didn't close it yet.
Oh, we didn't?
No,
Okay.
no, I didn't.
I'll just move a motion that in relation to the second last preceding motion, because we just passed on one of appreciation, but prior to that, the motion was the the amendments.
yes,
So in relation to that numbered motion, that council make the resolution to put the amended draft, what's it called?
Yeah, we've endorsed it all, yeah.
Operational plan
Yeah.
by means of applying it.
Two
Yes.
councillors, I mean.
Yeah.
Moved by you, seconded by Dorothy.
Suggested
Oh.
by councillor.
All, well, it will be a minute. All in favour?
Aye.
If there's no other business,
Thanks, councillor.
And then we'll have to do a flying minute.
I will declare these
Check them on
meetings
public, have to put them on public.
closed.
Yeah. No problem.
Thank you, run.
No, I'm not going to run, I'm just going to mosey on down and,
Oh, the roads, so bring your roller in there enough time.
yeah. Touche.
Sorry.
I think you very much all about considering
That's all right,
suggestions
no
for
problem.
the meeting.
You make it easy, you
Are
really
happy with
do.
them or
It's not
would you
that
like to
hard.
change it?
Okay, I'm gonna